So awesome. And good morning, everyone. I am actually tuning in from Mexico, where I'm visiting my partner. So I'm really happy to join with you this morning, and welcome to everyone here in this webinar and those that will be watching it. And if you want to go ahead and just put in the chat, I know some of you have, what you're kind of looking to get out of today, and then also too where you served and what years. You are welcome to have your camera on or off. It doesn't matter to me. It's up to you. So feel free to do whatever you feel comfortable with. And I already see some here in the chat about just getting a basic overview of Canva, maybe looking to make some current announcements. And so we're definitely going to be covering that today. And I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. And I'll get a little bit more into a personal introduction later on into the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if I can just go ahead and get a thumbs up that you can all see my screen here, okay? Awesome, fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up. All right, awesome. And then can I just get one more thumbs up that you can see the full screen here? Fantastic. All right, so welcome to Oh Yes, You Canva. And I cannot take credit for that title. I actually have to give that to NPCA, and I love that. So fantastic job, NPCA, for coming up with that.
And that was all Dan Baker, director of the Global Reentry Program. That was his invention. I loved it.
Nice job, Dan. Nice job. Shout out to him. So a little bit of an overview of what we're going to cover today. So I'm going to do a brief introduction to myself and to Canva. We're going to go over the Canva Basics, Canva and business cards. We're going to go over as well Canva and social media, specifically LinkedIn, Canva and Zoom backgrounds, Canva and resumes, and then some other examples that I've used in my personal career as an environmental program associate. So just a little bit of a personal introduction for me. So my name is Kevin Heller, and I'm actually going to give you a little bit of an introduction that we use in Alaska. I work with Alaska Native communities, and they start with an introduction talking about not where they work, but who their family is and where they live. So I actually work and live in Anchorage, Alaska currently. My dad is Don Heller, a previous coal miner, and my mom is Carol Heller, who was a previous secretary and is now traveling the United States in a camper. And I would like to make a land acknowledgement of where I work and I live. And that is, I live and work on the land of the Dena'ina people in Anchorage, Alaska. So I am actually an environmental program associate at the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, and I'm an RPCV that was evacuated from Mexico in 2020, but I served from 2018 to 2020. Now, so what are some benefits with Canva? Some personal benefits that I've taken hold of and really have gotten to learn a little bit more about and have really used in my personal life is to grow your skill set and confidence in design, outreach, and engagement, to professionally and personally stand out among your peers and among your colleagues. And then I also would like to give a shout out to a fellow RPCV of mine named Sarah Reagan, who actually served in another Peace Corps country, but was medically evacuated, and then actually came to Peace Corps Mexico and served with me and my cohort, and actually turned me on to Canva in 2019. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward here. I do wanna make a disclaimer. I do not claim to be a designer because their skill sets are unmatched. And I just wanna thank those designers that are out there. Again, I do not claim to be a designer. As you can see below, I claim to be a guy who just generally knows what looks good. And I always request feedback before publishing anything. And so I definitely wanted to go ahead and sign that out there. So let's go ahead and review a little bit of the Canva basics. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen here, and we're actually going to take a little dive into Canva. So give me one moment to kind of get out here. So I'm actually going to log out for us first so we can kind of get an idea of logging in. So one moment, go ahead home here. And my screen's a little full from Zoom, so I apologize if it takes me a few seconds here to kind of log off. And of course, as you all know, internet can be very slow, of course, when you want to present. So please forgive me.
Of course.
Of course, I mean, it's just the law of the universe. Whenever you want to use something, the internet has to go slow. So
Exactly.
but just as I'm signing out here, so what you're going to do is that you can just go ahead and type into your browser canva.com, and it's actually going to bring you to this page here that you see currently, and it's just going to ask you to log in. You can connect it with different accounts, or you can go ahead and log in, you know, if you don't want to use any of these other third-party logins. And then if you do want to sign up for Canva, and we'll review kind of the features of that, you can actually just click sign up here, and then you can just enter in your information, and you can actually start with the free version. So now, before we go ahead and we jump in really quickly, I do want to show you the different plans that there are, because there are different paid plans that you can use. So you have the free plan here, and so that's what everyone, when they sign up, they're going to get. And there are some features that aren't available to you, such as background remover, editing certain photos, and then also too, there are some paid content like stock images that you won't be able to access. Now, if you pay for Canva Pro, I'm not going to go over the prices because you all can go ahead and research that on your own, but Pro gives you access to pretty much everything. And it also gives you the opportunity to interact with 5 other people using the account. My current workplace actually switched over to Canva, and so that we actually have an organization-wide enterprise account. There's the education account, which you can actually use to teach students design and also just how to kind of work media, etc. It's a really cool tool, and it's actually free or discounted to educators depending on your institution. And then also for nonprofits, there is also a discount for nonprofits, and my organization actually utilized both the nonprofits and the enterprise options here. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in, and I'm going to use my third-party login here. So one moment as we get logged in. And again, throughout this, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and towards the end of that, I will go ahead and answer those as best I can. So let's go ahead and log in. One moment, as my internet is taking forever again. That's all right.
Kevin, I can also try to keep an eye on the chat a little bit, and if there's a question that's related to what you're talking about, if you want, so just let me know.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Jody. And then let's go ahead and log in. Sorry about that, everyone. And I'm actually going to go ahead and blur my background, because another thing with Zoom is the bandwidth. So we'll go ahead and do that there. But I hope you all got a kick out of the dancing individuals in the back. So I hope you were ready to Canva with that. All right, so just to kind of go over some basics with how to navigate through Canva, once you get logged in, and let's say you sign up for the basic account, which is what I personally have, and I'm actually going to show you my organization account as well, which we have a little bit more features that you have access to. So what we're going to do is go up here to the top, and you see home. This will just take you to the page that you see now. And then if you go to templates, if you go up here to templates, they have a wide list of templates. So Canva is this web design tool. So if you want to create something that's personal and you want to do invitations, you click invitations. It's going to show you a huge list of templates that are already pre-made that you can selectively edit to your own liking and to your own needs. And that exists for everything that you see here. So everything that you see under this, if it's a poster, if it's a certificate, if it's a YouTube channel art, it's all pre-made. And if you don't like the pre-made, you can also just create your own template. Now, the other one is features. So this kind of just talks over the different features of Canva and kind of how to use those, etc. It's pretty basic and self-explanatory. This is something I really would like to highlight if you're kind of new to designing or new to using web-based tools. So something that Canva does, which is really neat, is that it actually offers web design courses, not web design, but just design courses in general. So if you want to get a Canva 101, learn about personal branding, if you want to learn how to create videos, if you want to go ahead and learn how to design, there's actually a whole entire design course on Canva with 2 to 4 minute videos where you can actually interact with the platform itself to get yourself more accustomed to actually using it. It helped me out a lot. And I actually incorporated this into our department. And it's now a requirement before anyone gets a Canva account that they have to take these courses so that there's a standard that's met. Now, if you want to go to pricing, we already went over that, but that's also a tab there. Now we'll switch over here to the left-hand side. So home, we already know what that is. Your projects. So this will list out all the projects that you have going on in your whole entire account. So you can see I have all these different, these different photos, these different images, these different designs. You're welcome to create folders. You're only given the ability to create 1 or 2 folders on the free account. So make sure you use those wisely. As you can see here, I have one for my resume because I have various resumes that I've used. You can actually share it with other people. So if you want to share a design, you can actually share it with others that you want to, that you just want to go ahead and collaborate with. Of course, your trash. So if you delete anything by accident, you can go back in there, kind of like your recycle bin. And then you can actually create teams. So if you want to bring on other people, create teams, you can do that. And then down here is a brand kit. So if you have a brand and you're creating your own personal brand, you can actually import your own logo, your own color palette, your own text, your own designs. And so it's actually all there. So you don't have to redo it every single time. You can just go in here, click your brand kit, boom, boom, and it's good to go. And you don't have to redo that whole entire process again. And then I'm going to go over this a little later, but with the content planner, you can actually create your own post within this content planner and link it to Facebook or Instagram, and you can actually have them be sent out to your individual accounts, and you can actually have those uploaded and ready to create. So it's like a personalized calendar for your social media, which is really, really neat. So I'm going to go ahead and dive back in here to home, and we're going to just take a quick look at, I'm going to go to this, which I posted actually on LinkedIn a few days ago. So I'm just going to kind of show you some basic editing. We're not going to get real in depth with this because it would take too much time. So I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of how easy it is to find things, to move things, to type things in. It's really, really neat. So with this post, we have this square here, and we have the color backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say that you want to go ahead, and this is the template that you get, because you click the template, it says Instagram post or LinkedIn, you have this ready to go. Now, if you want to change the words or anything like that, what you can do is you can actually double click and change the words inside if you want to. So, we'll delete Canva here if it wants to power through and not be slow. So, if we just want to change it to oh yes or oh yes you, that works perfectly. If you want to move things, all you really have to do is click and drag. So that's one other thing. And Jody, I'm actually going to turn off my camera for bandwidth purposes. I apologize.
Sure, that's a great idea. That's absolutely great.
And so you can actually just go ahead and move these objects around to where you want, which is really, really nice. You can actually go over here, and if you want to change the background, you can change the color for your background to whatever you want. They have all these different colors. You can actually type in the number of the color, which you can find online anywhere you want. These different shapes that you see, you can actually go to elements, and if you want to type in, let's do star, because that's what you all are going to be after this presentation, stars, more stars than you already are. So you can actually, it has all of these different elements that you can actually use. And if you see this little crown, that means you have to pay for it unless you have the pro account. So if you want to, you can search through photos, and it has stock photos for free, graphics, videos. I showed you a little bit of the graphics. It has different videos that you can input into this. It actually has audio clips that have like music and soundtracks and things like that you can incorporate into different videos. So let's say that we want to do a graphic, which is what I use most. If I just want to click that, it's going to put it right onto here, and I can actually grow it or shrink it to what I want. And then I can change the colors. I can change everything pretty much with it. If I want to add text, and these are the basics of kind of what you're looking for. It has all these different text options. It has these different labeling as well. So you obviously want in a poster or something like that, you know, 2 to 3 different layers of words and text. And then with this too, the last thing I'll show you are the templates. So if you want to go ahead and do Zoom birthday, for example, excuse me here, if you want to go ahead and type in Zoom, we'll see if this works for me. I'm not sure why that's not working there. Yes, so usually with the template here, what you can do is you type in, I apologize, it's not giving me the option for some reason, but with template, you can, as I described before, you can go ahead and actually type in resume and it will give you that. And I'll show you that later on here. So beyond the edits, we're actually going to jump back into the presentation. So just give me one moment to go ahead and do that for you. And again, I promise we will cover the questions at the end of the presentation here, give enough time for that. Go ahead and close out here. And so with this, move this up to the top. And if I could request, if I could just say, always have dual monitors when you're giving a presentation, because it makes things so much easier. But moving on to kind of the idea of business cards. So it may seem old-fashioned to have business cards in some way, especially after not going to in-person conferences. But again, it's a great way to affordably and professionally promote yourself. And another thing is that it opens up conversations and chances for networking, and it can be physical or even over the internet. And it gives credibility and recognition to you and also to your organization. And so something that I've actually newly figured out is traditional and versus virtual business cards. I was at a conference. All of us did not have enough business cards for the conference. So we were thinking, how can we give our business cards to people, but not actually have to go print some more, et cetera, et cetera. So I actually came up with a template for my program and for my department. And if you take your phones out and you scan that QR code on the screen, it's actually going to bring up the virtual business card. So I'm going to give you about 25 seconds to go ahead and use your camera. Just hold your camera over the QR code, and then it should bring up a link on your camera. Click it, and it should open up a virtual business card in Canva. And so I'm going to give you 20 more seconds to go ahead and do that if you can. And then I'm actually going to switch over and show you what that should actually look like when you pull it up for the virtual business card. And for the traditional business cards, there's actually in Canva the option to type in business cards for a template. And you can actually create your own design and your own logo and create your own business cards in template and actually in the template and print them. So what you should be viewing is actually the business card here, the virtual business card. So I'm going to show you here as it pulls up. So I actually created this myself for my program and for my department, and they're actually talking to marketing about incorporating this now for the whole entire organization. And so I just incorporated really the basics, and I actually linked in my email. So if someone were to come to this site, if you have it all up on your phones and you actually click that email, it should bring up your default email browser, and it should actually give you the option to email me. If you want to see where my work is located, you can click that pin. And if you want to go to our work website, you can actually click that web link and it will take you right to my work website. So it's a really great way to just have a different idea of what you're doing. And actually I used this virtual business card on a Zoom. So I actually put the QR code in my Zoom background while we were giving a presentation, and people were actually able to go ahead and scan that the virtual business card, and they were actually able to have my information right on their phone. So they didn't have to go through the virtual chat or the Zoom chat and kind of pull that information out, which was really neat. So we're going to go ahead and switch back over to this here, to talking about kind of LinkedIn and the other platforms. So with Canva, it gives you the opportunity to create templates or posts or things like that with the major media outlets. So we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So you can actually, and for today, we're going to be focusing more on LinkedIn because that's what's most important for us right now in this professional setting. But you can also just do these other three if you would like to. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch over here back to Canva. And I'm going to show you the homepage here. So let's say with LinkedIn, you wanted to create kind of for your background and your banner. So you have your banner in your background, and then you also have your personal profile photo. You want them to look good. You want them to look professional. So what you can do, something similar to what I did with this business card, and I'm going to open back up the business card here, is that you can actually take your professional headshot or whatever professional photo you have. You can just do a background remover on it and do a solid background color that you feel that you feel describes yourself or your organization, or you can kind of do different colored templates. So for example, if I wanted to have this as my profile photo for LinkedIn, all I would have to do is take this photo, go to a replace background, put it on a colored background. And if I wanted to, I'm going to remove the logo from my work and then this green here. And so if I just wanted to use this, that would be my background photo for LinkedIn. Now, if I wanted to do a banner, you can actually just go over here and you can go to templates and you can actually type in banner and, excuse me, banner, there we go. And then what you can do is you can do landscape banner, and then it's actually going to bring up all these different options for banners. And so you can actually customize your own personal LinkedIn banner to what you feel is best. So if you feel that, I'm just going to use one of these pre-made ones. So identifying with my community here. So let's say that you are maybe an advocate for LGBTQ rights and you want to go ahead and put this as your background on your LinkedIn because you feel that this describes your organization, your personal philosophy. You can actually go ahead and have this on there. It's really neat. It's really interesting. And it's just a great way to kind of get your personal brand out there and separate yourself from the crowd. So it's not just a random photo on your banner. But a lot of people recommend that you do what I talked about with the business card and do a solid banner, a solid color for your background, and kind of do some fun imaging maybe some stripes or maybe some burst of color in the background, kind of brighten it up. And so that's kind of another great way that you can kind of use more of the LinkedIn social media aspect of that. And now we're actually going to jump over here to Canva and Zoom. So a couple steps that I recommend before you do this is, and a little backstory is I actually had an interview 2 weeks ago with a climate group, and I actually created a Zoom background that was personalized to my interview and to my audience. And when they opened up the Zoom, they saw my background and it said, welcome climate team. And then I had a fun little image next to that. And they said, wow, that is so neat. How did you do that? This is great. This is super welcoming. And I actually made it to a second interview. I wasn't selected, but that was okay. The thing that made me stand out, and they actually told me this, was my actual personal banner that I created for that specific job. So just a couple of steps here. Is it appropriate to have a banner that's custom made, or do you want something that has more like that library background? So, you really have to do some research. Is it appropriate? What are the colors, themes, and what are you interviewing for? So consider that before you actually do any type of Zoom background for your professional interview or anything like that. Step 2, don't be afraid to use the templates that are already provided, but don't be afraid to create your own as well. That's what I did. And then step 3, do a test run before you actually put it on Zoom. Send it to individuals, show a friend or family member, ask, what do you think of this when you see this? Because you might think that it looks good. You might think that it emulates some form of message, but does it really? So you really need to just kind of go ahead and do some more informational gathering. And I'm actually going to show you an example of what I did with my past interview, just to kind of give you a more in-depth idea of that. So let me go ahead and search down through my designs. Let's see, right here. So I had an interview with the Climate Advocacy Lab, and I just decided, what are their colors? What are they focusing on? And so they were focusing on training, bringing new ideas and innovation. So that's why I chose a light bulb and I chose the plants within it. I chose blue because we're talking about climate, we're talking about water, we're talking about, our earth, which is covered in water, 75% or more. And then of course, just hello, Climate Advocacy Lab team. Again, I put this as my Zoom background. They loved it. I really stuck out as a candidate, and they said, and that was something that they really mentioned to me that really made me stand out among other candidates. But just just some possibilities here with that. And then we're going to go back to the presentation here, and we're going to scooch on over to Canva and resumes, which I feel is kind of the meat and potatoes of this presentation. So a couple things, templates. You need to choose a template that works best for you and the market you're participating in. And with the design aspect of it, you need to consider your design. So again, is it appropriate? Is it too loud? Is it too soft? Is it too much? Is it too little? And so, for example, down below that, for your profession in the application systems, are you a designer? Because if you're a designer, your template or your resume is going to look a lot different if you want to stand out as a designer versus an accountant. And then also too, will the application system read your resume? So obviously we know that big institutions like the government and others have scanning software for resumes. Now you need to be really careful, because sometimes if you create your resume in Canva, the software might not read it. So I've had many experiences where I've uploaded my resume and it's tried to automatically fill in my information, and it's just been all over the place. And I've had to redo my application, writing out, my experiences and my qualifications and things like that. So you just have to be really careful in regards to that specifically. So I'm actually going to show you here really quickly a few examples of my resume. So when I actually applied to Peace Corps, I used a Microsoft Word, black on white, bolded, etc., things like that. So I have all these different resumes here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this one. So I wanted something that kind of stood out, that was professional looking, that was crisp, that was clean. And so I ended up deciding that I ended up going with this one. And this is actually where Jody and I she invited me to give this presentation because she saw kind of how this resume looks, and it's just different from others. So, I just went through and I looked through the different templates, and I said, this is the one I like. I pre-filled out all of my information. I described, I kept within the lines and the boundaries of what I wanted. I went with a nice color scheme that's pretty neutral. And I kind of went from there, and it's 2 pages, and I included all these different options. This is a lot different than my Microsoft Word resume that I used to apply to Peace Corps. And this actually goes with my aspiration statement. So I actually made an aspiration statement template for myself. I made a references template for myself too when I apply to jobs. They actually told me for my interview that this actually stood out as well among the other candidates, because it showed that I was unique in the sense that I had different application materials. Now let's go ahead up to templates here, and I'm just going to pull up a list of the different templates that you can use when it comes to resumes. So give me one moment to pull that up here. So let's go ahead to resume. All right, here we are. So you can see that it has a wide list of resumes, some with photos, some not with photos. They generally all are one page. Not a lot of them are 2 pages, but if you have a lot of experience, you're probably going to want to have 2 pages. So you can really just copy and paste the design from the first page to the second page and just edit it to what you need. Again, but there are all these different designs that you can use down here. In other countries, they do have a profile photo generally, like in Mexico. But if here in the US, we generally don't have a profile photo unless, you're unless you're a designer, for example, maybe that's something you want to include, then you can definitely do that. But again, there's a wealth of templates here that I welcome you and encourage you to check out and see what fits your personal style, what reads best to you. I think that this is something that is underused in Canva, to those that maybe don't know about Canva. But again, really, really great options here and really clean. So I definitely encourage you to check this out most if you don't check out anything else when it comes to Canva. Now we're going to go ahead and bounce back over here, and we're going to talk about other examples. So in my current position as an environmental program associate, I did not want to become the marketing guy for my program or for my department. It's kind of, I've defaulted to that in some manner. So I've had to kind of take a step back, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. But I've created brochures, I've created presentations, like this one, for example, I created in Canva. I've created bookmarks, 1-page flyers. And then also there are other options for, especially, well, beyond just kind of the personal use, the business use. You can create logos, you can actually do website design and creation inside of Canva. You can do videos. There are business proposals and business applications you can utilize for the templates. And there are actual calendars that you can also utilize and print out, or you can actually use electronically, which are really, really neat. And I'm going to actually log on to my work account and show you these different examples. So just some personal key takeaways too, before I log on to my work account here, is do your research before you start using Canva, in the sense, before you start your design for your intended audience or for your job. So research your field, your audience, and more before creating that design. Do a test run with someone. It's the most simple thing. I love using my partner. I say, what looks good, what doesn't look good, and I incorporate their suggestions into that design and send it to others. What about growing? I think this is an amazing tool to grow your design skills, and you don't have to worry about it looking good at first. It's about the journey. It's about the journey, not the destination. So, and with that too, just check the process. As I said, check with someone, check with yourself, give yourself some time. Don't do it last minute. And then also another thing too is you can stand out. So stand out professionally and personally by creating interactive, high quality materials, which I've done for my job, for my current job, which is when I really started using Canva. And I actually, something with this for standing out, which ties into the leadership, is that I noticed that there was a need, because our marketing department is super overwhelmed, and they don't really have the time to create the materials that we really want for our department. So what I did is, we were using another program, and I actually started using Canva, and I started showing my colleagues about it, and I actually had them apply for a nonprofit account. Well, lo and behold, the word got spread to marketing about the nonprofit account, and it was a kind of a bad thing at first, because we didn't realize that we had to go to it like the checklist and check the of command. But at the end, the organization saw the usefulness of Canva and ended up adopting the enterprise account. And this has actually helped alleviate the pressure on marketing to create all these options, because now we can submit for approval our designs to marketing. They edit how they want, they send it back to us for approval, it's approved, and it's good to go. And this actually shows me to be a leader in the workplace, because I have these different design skills now that I'm able to apply, and I know that there's a need. But again, I want to stress, do not assume the job of the marketing department. You're not getting paid to do marketing, you're getting paid to do your job, to do outreach, etc. Do what you can do on your time, but don't do anything that marketing is supposed to do for you. That's a very big key takeaway that I just want to mention. And so we're going to log on here really quickly to my actual personal work account, so I can show you some other options. So just give me one moment while I log on to my work account. And something actually that happened recently is my department director called all of my designs the Kevin Suite. And so now they are looking to potentially adopt them into all the different programs, so we can actually use them as templates, since they're already approved by marketing. So this is our personal business account. So you can see here, we have all the different programs laid out on the left-hand side. And then, for example, this is a brochure that I just created for outreach about contaminated sites in Alaska. And so this is something I just created. I checked in with my coworkers. I wanted to make sure they liked the design. I wanted to make sure that it was all good to go before we had to go to marketing. So here are just the different, the different types of designs that you can do with brochures. So this is something I created here. We're going to go ahead back to Canva here, and I'm going to show you this rat card that I created. So a rat card are those nice long cards that are kind of made of cardstock that are really fun to have, because you can sometimes use them as bookmarkers, and they can be very informational, and they're just fun to look at. So this is also something I made too in Canva based off of a template. And so what I did is I copied the template, I pre-filled in the information, I kind of just morphed it to what I wanted it to do, and it worked. And then I just changed up the colors on the bottom design, but stuck with the basic design of it all. And again, this is something they're looking to incorporate in my overall department and program. We're going to bounce back again to the presentation, and we're going to kind of end it here, and then we can have some time for questions, because I assume that there are. I see 21 chats, but we'll see. So just, I would just want to open the floor up for questions and comments. Feel free to contact me text me, email me. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, you can just type in that email address, there, or you can scan that QR code on your phone. If you have the LinkedIn app, it will bring me up on there. I just want to say thank you for your time and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present today. I don't want to claim to be a designer because I'm not. I'm just someone who's very passionate and about marketing and about outreach and engagement and about delivering high quality materials. And then also to standing out among the crowds when I do have an interview or when I am applying somewhere so that they can see just the different designs that I have. So I stand out among others, and also just having that aspect to be a leader. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And again, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds more. If you want to take a photo of this or scan that QR code, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing screen, and we're going to start answering some questions if we have any. Jody, I'm going to pass it to you to do the facilitation aspect of that.
Yeah, Kevin, there definitely are some questions, and there's a lot of comments as well. And I know I made a lot of comments also. So if people do have questions now is the time to throw those in the chat box, and we'll definitely facilitate those with Kevin. I am so impressed with how quickly you were able to move through so much. And I was, wondering if we'd be able to get to everything. So I think, and it's great that we still have significant time, about 20 minutes for specific questions. So I first though want to address, you had indicated I'm not a designer, and you've said that several times, but I must say, and I put this in the chat box, I beg to differ. You're clearly a designer, even if you don't adopt the formal title. The information and the layout, it's so well laid out and pleasing to the eye, all of the brochures and the things that you've let us look at. And I just thank you for allowing us into your own private studio to show us what you've actually created. I think that's been really helpful. And after that, I'll go to the questions here. One of the questions was, how do you match colors to an organization's exact brand colors? So for example, how do you find the color number to put into Canva? I know you mentioned earlier about, you can put the color numbers. Do they show up somewhere, or how does one find those?
Super great question. So, and again, it's up to your taste. If you want to match brand colors, you can. So you can either just Google brand colors for X organization.
Oh, really?
Or something that's, yes, and it should pop up. For example, I work at Anytime Fitness, and I could not find our brand colors because our marketing was not getting back to us. So I just typed in Google Anytime Fitness brand colors, and it popped up with the information I needed in a marketing kit. But oh yeah, it was amazing. But something that's even more amazing is with Canva is if you import an image into the Canva template, it will actually tell you what colors are being used in the image. And so you can actually it will pop up a list of colors being used on this template. And then if you just have that one photo, it will have all those colors available to you already.
Wow. Oh, that's super easy. I'm telling you, it really seems, I'm definitely not a techie, and this seems very doable. Canva seems like it's very logical, and, it seems like it's extremely doable. So, and I love all the templates. So that's great. Great. Another question, or not so much a question, I guess the person wanted to know a little more about, Jeremiah was asking a little more about, curious about how it can work for resumes. And I don't know, Jeremiah, if what he shared about, I think you put that in, before he actually got to the resume one. So if there's specific questions about that or any other aspect, again, inviting everyone to just drop those into the chat box, because now is the time that Kevin is, able to answer any of those questions. So go ahead and do that. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions right now. Lots of comments saying, thank you, Kevin. This gives me great ideas for, organizations where I volunteer, or, this is easier than expected. Just lots of that. So any other questions that folks have? There's one new message, let's see, that came in. Maybe it's a question. A very elementary question. It's the person shared. Do you just copy and paste what you create into Canva?
So Pam,
oh, you're talking about how to get it into LinkedIn, maybe, right? If that's what it sounds like. For example, a banner template for LinkedIn.
So I apologize, my internet was still there, but to say it's easy, you just copy and paste and it's already in this, and you just copy from a document that you have and paste it right into Canva and it's good to go. It's on your, it's easy as that.
Nice. Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
So I'm actually going to share my screen again. Great question, Sarah. So Canva does a really neat thing where you can actually, so if you want to go ahead and, download a design. So here's my resume here. Let's see if it lets me. So if you go to share up in the top right-hand corner and you go to download, it's actually, sorry, let me go ahead back to this rack card here. If you go to share and you go to download, it's actually going to give you a drop-down menu of all these different ways you can actually save it as a PNG, JPEG, PDF, MP4, or a GIF, GIF, however you want. So that's a really great way to download it however you want. Mainly with videos, you do the MP4, but with anything else, really, it's what you want: PNG, JPEG, PDF.
Kevin, what are the advantages of each? Like, is there one of those, like the PNG, the JPEG, or the PDF that maybe is better for certain reasons?
So it just depends. So with the JPEG, obviously, if you have something that you're wanting to upload to LinkedIn that is not a PDF, or to Facebook, that's what you're going to use the JPEG and PNG for. But if you're coming up with a report, for example, or a brochure, you're going to want to use the PDF. I think that's pretty. I think you kind of know instinctually what you want to use and how you want to use it.
The ones are more an image, and the others, it seems, right? If it's more of an image versus a report, or context. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. Let's see here. More folks. Moses, your buddy Moses, is saying, bye, everyone. Thanks for the great presentation. So thanks for being here. Any other questions? We still have, my goodness, about 13 minutes, and I'm sure you have more information that you can even, go over, but we definitely want to allow folks to ask questions if there's specific ones that you want to know about.
Can I ask something?
Yes, please.
Hi, yeah, this might be easier. So I was just curious. So I've been leading third goal efforts for Northern Virginia Return Peace Corps volunteers. And I was thinking one way is maybe to kind of have an image that represented our third goal. And then each time we have events, kind of use that. So it's like a branded kind of, right? So I was just curious what your thoughts on how I might go about doing that, so that it's easy enough, maybe that it's just a changing the date, changing the event, that kind of thing, and having maybe a QR code so that people can register.
Nice.
So really super great question. Let me log out here really quickly so I can log into my personal one. So what's really nice with Canva is it actually has a QR code input. So if you go to and I'll show you here really quickly, but you just click on QR code on the left-hand side, you input the address that you need it to go to, and then it just automatically brings it up, and it's already included in the document. Now, Canva only does black and white. It doesn't do colored QR codes. So you would actually have to use a third-party account. But honestly, I've used one third-party account specifically, and it lets me change the shape of the QR code, the colors. So it kind of depends what you want personally. In regards to like changing dates and everything like that, it's very easy. You just go straight into Canva and just edit the words. And you can actually have multiple versions on Canva too, if you just want to add like a new page onto a document. It's really easy that way. So I'm going to show you here really quickly with the QR code, and then kind of go from there. So open up this. So this is the QR code I used for a meeting I was in, so people could scan my business card, my virtual business card. And so what you can do is, if you go to the left-hand side and you go down to more, there should be like it says I already added it, but you can add it in. So if you click QR code, it's going to come up with this enter URL. You enter it in, pop it in, and boom, it's on your template, and you're good to use it, which is really nice. And then of course, on the other ones, you can just go ahead and edit the words, and you can have multiple versions, multiple pages, and you can do that too.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I appreciate it.
Of course, and I encourage those of you that are on the call today and those that will be watching this video to please reach out to me at my email or my telephone number or even LinkedIn. And I'd be really happy to just support you in any way possible and help you with those basic editing skills, or just helping you at all if you want to run anything by me.
That's great, Kevin. And did you have a question, Pam? Oh, okay. She waved. Maybe she was just saying goodbye. That's fine. You know, I mean, I guess the other comment I would have for others as well is if you end up exploring, you know, Canva, thanks to now, you know, what you've learned here and become kind of what Kevin's done. I mean, Kevin, this is great experience for your resume as well. And the kinds of achievements or things like, you know, company, you know, organization adopted, adopted protocol, like the fact that you learned this on your own and then basically got your company to, you know, to the point where they thought it was so amazing that they adopted it. And, you know, all of that, those are great skill sets that you and everyone else who's doing such work that, you know, aren't your primary responsibility in your job, but there are things that you really have as outcomes and, you know, impacts. So I think that's just great as well. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Jody.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? I didn't see any other new ones coming. And again, you can unmute yourself, certainly, and ask your question that way if you prefer, if there's any questions. This has just been so helpful for me, I know, and I'm really glad we have it recorded so I can go back and listen to it. Great. Molly or Sarah or anyone, any other questions for Kevin before we wrap up? Very kind of you to share your information as well, Kevin. Thank you.
I was just say, Jody, if we could stay on just after everyone logs out.
Yep, absolutely. No, that's great. Oh, and there's another comment. Let's see if it's a question or up to thank you. So great. Yeah, we can stay on. Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate you doing this.
Thanks, you.
Bye.
Have a great day. I'm just going to stop the recording.